I saw a speech by a man named Charles Plum. He was a U.S. Naval Academy graduate who was a jet pilot in Vietnam. And after 75 combat missions, his plane was destroyed by a surface-to-air missile. Plum ejected and parachuted into enemy hands, and he was captured and spent 6 years in a communist Vietnamese prison. He survived the ordeal and was lecturing on lessons learned from that experience. Now, one day when Plum and his wife were sitting in a restaurant, a man at another table came up and said, you're Plum. You flew as a jet fighter in Vietnam from the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk. You were shot down." Plum said, "How in the world did you know that?" And the guy said, "I packed your parachute." Plum gasped in surprise and gratitude. The man pumped his hand and said, "I guess it worked." Plum assured him it sure did. If your chute hadn't worked, I wouldn't be here today. Plum could not sleep that night. Thinking about that man, Plum said, "I kept wondering what he might have looked like in a Navy uniform, a white hat, a bib in the back, and bell-bottom trousers. I wonder how many times I might have seen him and not even said, 'Good morning, how are you?' or anything, because you see, I was a fighter pilot and he was just a sailor." So Plum thought of the many hours the sailor had spent on a long wooden table in the bows of this ship, carefully weaving the fabrics together and folding the silks of each chute, holding his hands each time the fate of someone being totally held within his hands in the bottom of that ship. He didn't know how many times. So now Plum asks his audience, who's packing your parachute? Who's packing your parachute? Everyone has someone who provides what they need to make it through the day. Plum also pointed out that he needed many kinds of parachutes when he was in his plane and was shot down over enemy territories. He needed his physical parachute. He needed his mental parachute. He needed his emotional parachute and his spiritual parachute too. He called all these supports before reaching safety. Sometimes in the daily challenges that life gives us, we miss what is really important. We may fail to say the simple hello, please, or thank you. Congratulate someone on something wonderful that has happened to them. Give them a compliment or just do something nice for no reason at all. Kindness doesn't need a reason. As you go through this week, this month, this year, recognize the people who pack your parachute. So I ask you, who's packing your mental parachute? Who's packing your physical parachute? Who's packing your spiritual parachute? And do you tell them thank you?